Hi, it's Caroline Evans here. I'm a trichologist here at Absolute Hair Health Clinic. And we just want to do a short video today to show you how we diagnose hair loss, hair thinning and scalp problems using our live video microscope. So we have a microscope here which has a 1 centimetre image hole in it, and we go in and we look at the scalp right at the scalp level, and then we're going to show you the picture in the screen here on the TV. Now these images are rather graphic, but they're very, very accurate. So it shows us what's happening to the scalp skin and also the hair that's coming out of it. So it's the absence or presence of the different types of things that you see that gives us a diagnosis. So you're going to see with me, we'll go in, and we're going to start here in what we call the terminal area. The terminal area in trichology is the back area of the scalp. The back area of the scalp here, just in this area back here, is the last to go. So in men it's the horseshoe, and in women they only ever thin up here when it's relating to the hair cycle or other problems. So back here is the actual hair cycle. It's your hereditary hair, what you actually inherited. When we go up here you may see changes which are male and female pattern thinning. Now these days we find that most changes taking place are more about the entire hair cycle. So we have a hair cycle that's actually diffuse and we can read it accurately in the terminal area. So that's what we're looking for here in this image on the screen. So first of all, I can see here that we've got an empty follicle. Now we all lose hairs every single day, but we shouldn't see more than 5 empty follicles when we're doing a quick hair health check, which this is. Then we start seeing our normal terminal hairs. Every hair in the terminal area is supposed to grow to the exact same diameter. It does change in other areas of the scalp, but in the back area it should all be the same. And we can pick up here with the microscope, there's quite a few hairs that aren't quite the diameter or the colour that they should be. So you can stay there looking at the screen. I'll go and take another shot. So again, you can see there's a few hairs that aren't to the same diameter. There's one in here, another one over here, and down here. So some of them aren't growing as they should. If you look very closely, you can also see there's some liquid here on the scalp, sitting in the scalp channels there, and that's what we call a moist scalp. So it's just some moisture coming out of the sweat glands. What that can do is it can irritate the scalp because sometimes it can be acid. The other thing you can pick up here is the colour. We can see that the scalp is a little bit yellow around the follicle. This is the sebaceous gland, and they just look like they're blocked a little bit here. Now I asked my wonderful model here today when she washed her hair last, and how long ago was that?
Yesterday morning.
Okay, so pretty much a day and a half ago, and then the follicle blocks are coming back already. So all these little signs tell us sometimes why people have different symptoms they have. When you see the hair's not growing properly, which we have here in the terminal area, you find that this is consistently throughout the whole terminal area, and then it will be everywhere else on the scalp as well. So this just gives us a count of about 3 hairs per centimetre. You can see them in there again, that aren't quite right. You can also see the scalp there is quite rippled. Can you see that with me? So the scalp skin is a bit dehydrated. This is when we start talking about what kind of scalp cleanser we're using, essential fatty acid deficiency and that type of thing as well. So I'm just going to get my cameraman to zoom up to me a little bit here. Okay. So we're going in and moving along, and we're just going to demonstrate that what we see consistently moving through the terminal area is always at least those 3 hairs. Can you see that with me? All 3. Now, we also check the dermis. So this is what we call the epidermis. We go in and we look at the dermis, and you can see that those yellow marks at the follicle are more enhanced, and that way you can tell that they are definitely the follicle blocks. So that scalp needs to be cleansed. Generally we go in and we use a gentle gel exfoliant to clean them out, and then we teach accurate scalp cleansing. The other thing it picks up for me is any little hairs that are what we call translucent, meaning they're so little. You can see them here with me. They're so tiny, they don't have any colour, they don't have any structure. So they're what we call translucent hairs. So when you're counting 3 hairs that you can see, you count the 3 to 4 hairs you can't see, and you say you've got about 6 hairs per centimetre over the entire scalp not growing properly. So this is how we actually come to a diagnosis. So now we know what we've got happening in our terminal area and what we can see happening with the scalp skin, which is different. It doesn't cause the hair thinning. We then move away and we go into the sides of the head, which are always thinner because there's less hairs per centimetre and you actually grow thinner hairs there. And you can see it's consistent, so there'll always be less damage. We move away from that area and we're going to go to where we start to get female pattern thinning, which is always the front. This is the same as male pattern thinning, it's always the front and top. So you can see I'm right up here. Now I can see in there the hairs are thinner, they're lost more colour, and there's definitely more empty follicles. Okay, so my model today is a very young lady, and she has also there got some female pattern thinning. You can see in there with me. Now generally when you have a hair cycle problem or your hair cells aren't functioning correctly, it will affect the hairs over the entire scalp. But this female pattern thinning, just come back to me, is always in this area. So your hair cycle over your entire scalp will be affected by what happens here. This top area is what you see every day. So that is caused by hormones, hereditary and environmental factors, but it's triggered by what the hair cycle does. The entire hair cycle and cell is responsible for what the body actually does, so it's all connected together. So our microscope helps us to see the problems, so then we can go in and do hair cycle correction, or if we need to do correction of the female or male pattern thinning, which is associated to DHT. So bottom line, correct diagnosis leads to correct hair loss treatments. So I wouldn't undertake any hair loss treatment unless you have an accurate diagnosis by a trichologist who understands the science of not just the hair, female pattern thinning, and the hair cycle and how it's connected to the entire body. There is no miracle cures. So if you need a proper diagnosis, you can come and see me, Carolyn, trichologist here at Absolute Hair Health Clinic.